Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. Ooh, it is very dark on a Wednesday morning. It has been a while since I've been on the 3 a.m. train because we've mostly just been focusing on the guy back here, Mr. Batman. Batman has dominated my life all month of March, 8 times so far, trying to get there to 10 before he's on HBO Max. But yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've been up on the 3 a.m.s because we haven't had any Marvel shows. And I wasn't doing the 3 a.m.s during Boba Fett. So got a little recoup time. Waking up this morning, I felt, more energized than I had toward the end of my 3 a.m. runs. But I'm very excited to be back here with you guys bright and early because while we've been talking about that guy for so much, there's another character that's got some Batman vibes that exists in the world, specifically of Marvel. We're going to bounce from that DC back over to that Marvel, get onto that Disney Plus train, and I tell you that there is a show that is out now that I've been so excited for, and one episode in, I mean, I'm just like beaming like a child after watching this first episode. It was so freaking good. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat, we're getting ready to dive in spoiler free into episode 1 of Moon Knight. And my favorite thing every week is when I hit that TV screen because the background is so bright. It takes a little while for it to adjust, which allows like Mark Spector and eventually Mr. Knight to like both kind of bounce into frame, which is kind of cool because we're dealing with a character that has a multiple dissociative disorder, and seeing a character with multiple identities being played by an actor who is just, I tell you, man, this whole episode, like, there are a bunch of people to talk about, give nods to, give credit to, but this episode and obviously the show, it's all about Oscar Isaac and what he is doing. Dude, I can't wait to get into more episodes of this show. It just feels like all the newbies that are coming into the MCU world, something that is established, that has a decade-plus long history. They're all bringing it, man. And, like, when you think about performance from some of the newbies that we've had, I mean, you're talking about Florence Pugh. Holy cow. Julia Louis-Dreyfus comes to mind. The one I think of first, though, is Jonathan Majors, because, man, did he do something so unique. And Oscar Isaac feels like he's doing something similar here with Stephen Grant. Yes, I know. Our main character is Mark Spector, who becomes Moon Knight. But Spector, like I said, has multiple identities. And the show, at least for the first episode, is riding with Stephen Grant. And what Isaac is doing, man, I mean, look, we've seen it and we've heard it in the trailer. But the accent is just, it's phenomenal. And like knowing that that's not what Oscar Isaac sounds like or how he speaks, it just pulls you in immediately where you're like, I am fascinated at what he is doing here. And it works. Like, it works really well, and it works as well as it works because of everything else that Isaac is doing for the Stephen Grant character. Like, granted, and this is one of those things, I love seeing how Feige adapts things, and Stephen Grant isn't exactly comic book accurate yet. He's the millionaire identity for Mark Spector, and here he works in a gift shop at a museum and seems to be working, check to check, living life day to day. Not anything kind of crazy. And that plays so well into what Isaac is doing with the character. I mean, like I said, while the accent is the thing that pops immediately, the little nuances and quirks to the character and how he is troubled by what he doesn't know, right? He knows he loses time. I don't think that it doesn't seem like he's completely aware that he has other identities, but he is definitely aware of waking up in places that he did not go to sleep in, specifically his bed. And watching his morning routine, what he goes through, like, this is a no spoiler zone, so I won't spoil it if you haven't seen the episode, but like, I loved watching him go through his routine, and all of these little things just play into physically what Isaac is doing on screen. And besides his performance, I think the most interesting and well done thing in the episode is the editing. The editing in this first episode is astounding because we're in Grant's mind frame. So when he loses time, the way they handle him going from one thing to another, it just pops every time they do it. And look, 6 episodes, I want a lot of Moon Knight. In reality, 6-hour movie, you gotta do a little character building, a little foundation building. That's what this first episode is. We don't get to see that guy very much, if at all, any. I won't spoil it, but like, there's not a lot of him. It's a lot of Stephen Grant, and it feels like we're missing some really cool stuff, man. Like when the edits happen, you're just like, damn it, I want to see what happened here, because it looks like, you know, Mark Spector came in and just like went to town on all these dudes. Looked like there was a crazy car chase sequence, and we missed that. But I think that's a good way to build to things that are going to come later when we get to enjoy it and finally see it. But the editing around those gaps in time for Grant is phenomenal, and playing into that performance that Isaac has going, it just really plays well on screen, and it makes you feel claustrophobic at times. It makes you feel uneasy. It makes you feel confused, and the editing and the way it's shot. I mean, shout outs to directors. We got 3 directors on all 6 episodes: Justin Benson, Mohammed Diab, and Aaron Moorhead. I really dug, considering that there really isn't any action in this episode, I really dug what they were doing from behind the camera and how they were making the episode work, and how writer Jeremy Slater is playing this out. Like I said, he's really setting the groundwork for the show in this first episode, and just, you know, he's you know, just setting the table and getting you to salivate a little bit, because you can see the things that are coming, and specifically how he ends the episode. You're like, yeah, I want some more of this. And it seems like we've got a really good combination between directors, writers, and our lead performer. But this isn't just the Oscar Isaac show. Show, technically, mild spoiler, doesn't even start on Oscar Isaac. It starts with our second lead, Mr. Ethan Hawke, who is playing Arthur Harrow. And, you know, Harrow in the comics, I think I haven't read a lot of the Moon Knight comics. I've been diving into them, trying to get into them, you know, so I have a little bit of a background reference. Something like the Egyptian god Khonshu, when he pops up, like, you get kind of like, ooh, I'm so stoked, because I've seen a little bit of that stuff, but I don't really know too much. So where they're taking Harrow feels like it might be different than what was going on in the comics, but I think what they've done from an adaptation standpoint sets the table, where you have, you know, eventually Mark Spector and Moon Knight on one side of the Egyptian mythos and lore, and you're going to have Arthur Harrow on the other. And, you know, I'd never pegged Ethan Hawke to be like a cult leader, but man, he's got the vibe down. Like, I really dig what he's doing and how he's playing into the Egyptian lore and mythos type stuff. I'm really interested to see play out and see how that will kind of set him and Isaac on opposing sides. But that there is a nice little nod, you know, to the comic history, a guy who dealt with pain theory and eliminating pain at all. There's a real cool nod to that when we are first introduced to the character, and then just what Hawke is doing, you know, like, while you got Isaac doing like all of this stuff, man, like, it just feels like the performance is big, you know, even though the character to this point isn't big. And it feels like Hawke is doing the same thing, just on that smaller, subtler scale. And he comes in kind of quiet, but like the evil vibes and the bad guy vibes around him really are like just perfect note, man. And what they got going on with the character, how they're using him. There's some cool things to be had around Arthur Harrow, and I'm pumped to see how him and Spector kind of face off, because clearly they've got a little bit of a history. There's a MacGuffin in this episode that kind of ties the two characters together, and that's where you kind of get the if you're not familiar with the comics, you find out that like this Mark Spector guy is a mercenary, and people think that Stephen Grant is that guy. So there's your multiple identity stuff going on. It really works quite well, but what these two guys in general are doing just in this first episode, ooh, dude, like, I'm so excited to watch more of this. I want all 6 episodes right now. You know, that is the toughest thing with the Marvel shows, is like, you get a really good place setter, you know, where the table is set The foundation is laid. There's a little bit more groundwork, I think, to do specifically in the Moon Knight origin. But you really do get a really good setup episode here. And you got to look at this as like a 6-hour movie, right? Like, I want all the Moon Knight all the time based on what we've seen in the trailers. But if you're looking at it as a 6-hour story, you gotta set the table a little bit. And they do that really, really well here. And they do tease what is coming in a really fun, cool way. And look, there are some visual effect CGI moments in the show. Specifically this one pretty dope car chase that like we only seem to get fractions of because of the lost time. But there are moments where you're like, ooh, that one didn't look so good. But then the things that really matter on that CGI realm, I think, did work pretty well. Like, specifically the stuff that happens at the end of the episode. But it's one of those right out the gate, right after watching it, fresh out the theater, so to speak. I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what Jeremy Slater does from a writing perspective. I'm excited to dive more into the Moon Knight comics, so maybe I can feel some more of those origin vibes and some of the things that they can be pulling from. I'm just excited to watch Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke act their asses off, because that's what they do in this first episode, and I'm excited for the action. I think you get a whole episode where it's mostly performance and action happens, but we don't really see it. That the action that is coming is going to be dope, man, and I can't wait. So there you go. That's all I'm going to say. Spoiler-free side of the world, episode 1 of Moon Knight. The Seaman is all in. I was all in once the trailer started dropping. I was all in the minute they cast Oscar Isaac and we started to see his training stuff. I was just like, yeah, give me all of these things right now. But now that we've got an episode, I am in. I guess we should bring the Sea Maniacs up. We'll give this bad boy a score. Like I said, action, really light. Performance, really heavy and in a really good way. I think when you have a show that can just lean on its actors to carry you, while at the same time giving them good material on top, just sets you up for something that's going to be wonderful and something that should be a fantastic experience going week to week. I'm really excited to see what Jeremy Slater does. Like I said, I think Justin Benson, Mohamed Diab, and Aaron Moorhead have a cool look. The editing in the episode is spectacular, and the performances from Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke, I mean, they're some of the best that we're getting. Like I said, these newbies coming into the MCU, they're bringing it, and they are bringing it like hard, and I love that. I love how I feel like Marvel and the MCU just push the actors to keep getting better and better and better, because everybody wants to be the best that they can be inside this world that has this massive fan base and so much love and so much fun to it. And I love getting to watch people just crush at that. And you get that here, man. The performances from Isaac and Hawke are unbelievable. And I think I think they left just some room, man. I think there's some nice nods to things like Khonshu and some of the Egyptian lore and mythos. I can't wait to get into more of that. But this is the table setter, man. You know what I mean? Where we're setting the stage. And for a first episode, I think the ceiling for this show ultimately is super, super high. You get that vibe out of this first episode. And for the first out of 6, the first out of other Marvel shows, I gotta go a solid 4 out of 5 right out the gate, man. I am so in because of what Oscar Isaac is doing. The performance is phenomenal. And when you're gonna have more action, more Moon Knight, where you have a character where you can't see his face, I love that we get to spend time with Isaac, not in costume, just acting his ass off, man. I love that stuff. I really do think they do a good job, laying the foundation. There's a little bit more work to do, but I think the way that they're telling the story, I'm here for it. So 4 out of 5 Sea Maniacs for episode 1 of Moon Knight. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I'm done. I don't want to spoil nothing. Now I want to know what you're thinking. First, if you haven't watched Moon Knight, when are you watching it? Are you going to watch it? Are you excited? Have I made you more excited? Secondly, if you have watched Moon Knight, what'd you think, man? No spoilers. We'll have a reaction video up. I, of course, had my camera rolling. Not a ton of reactions this episode, but we'll talk a little spoiler action in a different video. This one, keep it spoiler-free, but let me know what you were digging. What'd you think, Isaac, from performance standpoint? Same with Hawk. The editing of the show, I thought, was something that really popped. Do you like where we're going story-wise? Did you like how this one played out? Did you want more Moon Knight? Could you have done this episode maybe the first half and more Moon Knight the second half? Or are you okay with the pacing and where we're going? What is interesting to you at this point? How familiar with Moon Knight are you? Like I said, not super familiar personally. So if you guys have any insight specifically on the spoiler side, I'm going to be looking for that stuff for sure. But what stood out to you? Like I said, I think the chase sequence was pretty awesome in this episode. Certainly seeing the morning routine for Isaac and seeing as this other world finally starts to kind of creep in on him toward the end. There were some cool things and some cool vibes, some horror stuff, some, real psychological stuff. So what things popped for you? Anything you got, good, bad, indifferent on the first episode of Moon Knight. No spoilers, but put it down below in the comment section. Look forward to talking to you guys down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man every Wednesday morning where we're going to be talking Moon Knight. I'm going to be up at 3 back on that train, man. Took a little break. Feeling ready to go. So 3 a.m.'s on Wednesday. You want to be here for all my Moon Knight coverage. You just like when I'm talking movies, TV, trailer reactions. You want to be here for anything else I got going on with the Batman. You just want to show a little love and support. Super easy. Come join C-Maniac Nation. All you got to do is jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. Until next time, for the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down. I've been the C-Man, and I am signing off. Peace. Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.